So you want to go to places like Rio or Sao Paulo or Bahia. These are some states in Brazil. So in today's video, I'm going to give you some tips on what are some of the requirements to enter Brazil. Now, first of all, my suggestion is find out if you need a visa in order to make your way to Brazil. If you are an American, you don't have to worry about this visa requirement because we don't need a visa. This hasn't always been the case. As a matter of fact, I think they dropped that requirement for Americans like 2 years ago or so. And so this is why I finally made my way. I've been wanting to go to Brazil for a long time. I just didn't want to pay for a visa. In the past decade, there's been so many countries who's dropped their requirements for Americans to get a visa. Even places like Argentina, which is another bordering country to Brazil in South America. I wanted to go there at a point, and they had that rule in place. And so I didn't go that time, and then when they dropped it, I then made my way to Argentina, and here it is in Brazil. So make sure to check if you need a visa or not. But if you're American, you're in the clear. You don't have to worry about that. Now, next is if you're not vaccinated, make sure you get a PCR test, a RT-PCR test, or antigen test, and these have to be within 24 hours of your flight. So make sure you're either vaccinated or you have the test. Now, if you're vaccinated, you're not totally out of the way because you have to make sure the one that you've taken is recognized or suffice for Brazil. So just double check to make sure whatever vaccine you took will Brazil recognize that. If it's the case that you find out they don't recognize the vaccine you took, simply take a PCR test and bring that with you to the airport. This is where they will check your documents anyway to see if you have one of the other. By the time you get to Brazil, they don't really ask you that. I remember when I got to the immigration, and when I got off the plane and got to immigration, the officer really didn't ask me any questions, just looked at my passport. And it always helps when you travel a lot and you have so much stamps. The questions are less because they see, okay, this is what you do. So all these stamps, and they're just finding a page, just making sure you haven't been there or whatnot, or nothing looks out of place, and then boom, put the stamp and keep it moving. So once again, make sure you have the visa, make sure you are either vaccinated or you have a PCR test. Now, if you're wondering how long can you be in Brazil for visa free, that answer is 90 days. You can get an extension if you need longer time. Just have to go through the proper ways of doing so, but generally it's 90 days visa free. So hopefully this makes it much easier. I do know someone who got turned around for not being vaccinated or getting a test. I don't know how he slipped through without getting checked from one of the agents, but he slipped through, got to Brazil, and I heard that they turned him back around. So make sure you're all set and you won't have this issue. Brazil is a nice place. It's such a giant when it comes to South America, if not the biggest economy, the second biggest, but it's definitely the biggest economy in South America. And I was in São Paulo. This is, in the Western Hemisphere, the most populated city in all of this hemisphere. So that is a fun fact. Hopefully this was helpful in regards to the requirements when it comes to entering Brazil. If you have any questions, leave it down below. David Durang, No Frontier, over and out. See you.